We're glad you were here to be able to join us and listen to our webinar. What we're going to do today is talk about how to make your website your best salesperson in your organization and ensure it's tuned up so that it is in fact driving leads and serving a purpose beyond just being a digital billboard. My name is Jason Ziolo. I am the CEO of Dorian Solutions, and I will take you through some quick stats here. First of all, do you have a website is the first question you should be asking yourself. Some people think it's just a digital billboard. It's just something that is going to show that you are an established company. Well, if that's all you're using it for, then you are missing a very big opportunity to use that as a way to draw leads into your business. Leads can be sales, leads can be appointment setup, leads could be just touch points, whatever you want to define it to be. And your website should be tuned to allow you to do that. First stat, did you know 70 to 80% of consumers research a business online before they call you, before they reach out to you, before they step foot in your store? If you do not have a website, you're missing that very big opportunity. If your website is not in a place where you would want them to see that, know that your consumer is likely looking there before they interact with you otherwise. 50% of website traffic is brought in through search engines. So people are just as often going to a search engine, probably Google, and looking for your business that way by searching for car dealerships in the area if they're buying a car. They are not going to jasonscars.com directly. So if you are not tuning your website to take advantage of keywords in Google or other search engines and social media, you are missing a lot of opportunity. Our next stat here, 38% of those people who finally do get to your website will basically stop engaging with it if it is not appealing to them. So having a website is not enough. It needs to look and act in a way that that consumer or that user of your website wants to be talked to, which we're going to talk about in depth today. So you finally got them. You haven't scared them away with the look of your site. Well, guess what? Only 1 out of 5 of those people will actually read the text that's on that page. So if your website is a wall of text and you're not taking advantage of headlines and taking people through a story to engage them, you are very much missing the ball. And there are definite techniques to fix this. For instance, 4 out of 5 people who come to a website will watch a video. It's one of just many techniques we may discuss today. And then if you do have a website, at least feel confident to know that you are on the correct side of this statistic that only 50% of businesses have a website. So again, based on all the statistics I've laid out here, it's very obvious the need to have that website. So there's me. My name is Jason. I'm the CEO of Dorian Solutions. I am a 20-year plus veteran in the internet and software world. Specifically, my talents align mostly with software development, workflow and process consulting, and project management work in small business strategy. I'm a small business owner myself. I run Dorian Solutions. I've been doing it for about 8 years. Before that, I've served as a VP of customer operations for a small business, and I was in an incubator running the technology department for several small businesses. As you can see at the bottom here, I'm also a total nerd. Which leads me to really the important person here. I'm sitting next to Jake Talapic.
Hello.
He is our director of marketing, and he is really your headliner today. I'm just warming up the crowd. Jake, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and what we're about to get into today?
Excellent. Well, as you can see, I'm the director of marketing at Dorian Solutions, and I've been in marketing for several years now. And the reason that I got drawn into that is because I love learning about different businesses. And when you learn about different businesses, you discover there are things that every business has no matter what they do. And one of those things is marketing. And I became enthralled with the pursuit of bringing in customers in the door. How do businesses find people to buy what they sell or do. It's really a remarkable thing. And so I just started diving into that, and I've been in the industry, like I said, for about over 7 years now. And my impromptu title around here is Internet Wizard.
Yeah, we call him the Internet Wizard, and his hair is part of our brand. It's I'm a bald guy, as you saw in my previous picture, and there's a lot of jealousy there going on. And you'll see his hair pop up in a lot of our different branding. So just a fun little fact. And we're going to talk about brand today. And Dorian here, we are a fun group that like to smile. We like to joke. We're very serious about what we do, but we make it fun. And you're going to see that hopefully throughout this presentation. You're going to see it as we talk about who Dorian Solution is and our brand. And part of what we're going to ask you to do is think about your brand and the image you're conveying out to the world. But really, I should, be quiet and let Jake do most of the talking. So what we're going to do today is quick agenda. We're going to take you through 4 steps of things you can do for your website. And we're going to take each step. We're going to break it down. Then we're going to show you some concrete examples of how you may apply those steps. Give you some homework you should talk about with your marketing expert. And at the very end, we will tie it all together and show you a case study of a client of ours that was very successful following these steps. And then we'll give you some special offers. So stick around for that, absolutely. So first step here is define your brand. Jake, let's start here and lead us into it.
So everybody knows the term brand. Brand is, it kind of an all-encompassing thing. When I say the word brand, people think logos, they think colors, they think fonts, they think a lot of different things. Well, brand, all it is it's the perception that people have of your business. Now, one of the things that we focus on here at Dorian Solutions is a more expansive term called brand experience, which is the actual experience that people perceive of your brand. And that extends not only to your customers, but to your internal team as well. And if you want to know more about our theories and strategies on brand experience, we'd love to talk to you more about that offline. But today we're going to talk about your website and how your brand impacts its sales ability. So I'm just going to read the thing here. The primary effort of your business's marketing and sales strategy is to create a desirable brand perception and then encourage the customer to act upon that perception. So we're going to give an example here about how you can deploy that strategy for yourself. And we're going to use ourselves actually.
We'll use an example close to home. We recently went through a bit of a branding ourselves, and let's talk a little bit about what we did. So here is our old site. Jake, take it away.
Absolutely. So on first glance, the website is not, it's all right. It's got some very accessible icons at the bottom. It's got a kind of a sleek image. It's got this, non-aggressive font with a very big display of our logo, but it's not really telling you anything about us. First of all, the style's a little bit outdated. This particular layout, specifically with the background pattern, is not really something that's modern, and it feels a little stark and cold. Which, if you can't tell from the webinar so far, we're not stark or cold. We're pretty flexible, relaxed, enjoyable, fun-loving.
Well, I know I am. You might still be working. I don't know. Let's pick on Jeff, our sales guy. He's got some work to do.
Yeah.
We're the fun ones.
Absolutely. And we're going to talk about this a bit more later in step 4, but there's no clear call to action. You come here, you look at it, and what do you do? What do you do with this page that you're at? And there's no brand experience. This isn't creating any feelings or emotions or ties in your brain to success or anything. It's just a picture of an escalator. So we went back to the drawing board and we said, what can we do to maybe engage a bit more? So we modernized the style and the look of the layout of the website, which we want to appear to be up to date. If you appear to be old or worn out, people are going to look at that and go, oh, well, maybe they're not really up to date. And as a company that focuses on branding, we needed to make sure that we're at the top of that game. And it matches our in-person style. So you'll notice we've got kind of like a team in the background. They're giving a fist bump. And it's sleek, but we got some fun coloring. You'll notice that the button's got this little like sliver of orange with our orange and blue logo. So we passed that throughout the site with that kind of sliver of orange, just to kind of remind you that it's not all one thing. We're kind of a blend of things. We're a blend of a team. We also have a clear call to action. We're getting you to learn more about us right there. That's what we want you to do when you see this page. Side note, we also have a second call to action in the upper right corner. You'll see it's a free site scan. That's something we'll actually touch on later that you can take advantage of at any point on our own website. So head over there and check that out too for yourself. And then we simplified the tagline: digital solutions to elevate your business. You know, coming to the site that this is what you're getting. There's nothing that is assumptive on your part. We tell you up front, this is the experience you're going to have. So
yeah, I think one of the things that we did is the old brand was you looked at our site and you didn't really know what it was about. It seemed elusive. I know I find that problem a lot with business websites. It's just so much of text speak and jargon, where this one, we believe it really calls out what we do and drives you down because you want to learn more.
And plus, we did a little bit of a fun step with our menu. We don't have the traditional about us or our services titles up in our menu. We went with something a little bit more relaxed and fun and conversational with what we do, who we are, find out more, that sort of thing. So again, trying to communicate your experience if you had talked to us in person through a digital means.
All right. So what we're going to do here is let's give you a little bit of homework. So what you guys should do, we're going to give you homework after each one of these steps. Write this down, take a screenshot, do what you want with it. But we highly suggest you take this to your website experts, your marketing expert, take them to lunch, sit them down in the boardroom, whether it's your spouse, whether it's your nephew, whether it's someone that's on your staff that handles the marketing, and discuss these things. So, does your website mirror the words your salesperson uses? Or like we said, like our old site, was it more jargon and didn't really flow with the conversation? Does it look and dress the way your salesperson looks? So if you meet us in person, you met us at the show, we were in jeans and polos, we were pretty casual, and we like to come off that way as it's easy to talk to us. We're not scary software guys. We're marketing guys that are going to help grow your business, that happen to know some technology that can really skyrocket your business. Does it inspire the same feelings as your products or experience? Is visiting your website the same as it feels of working with you? And as silly as it sounds, does it create fond memories? Is it memorable? Does it leave that good first impression on people who do in fact go there? Great. So let's go on to step 2. Identify your target market. Jake, take it away.
Again, target market, very common workplace jargon or literature. Everyone knows what that is. That's who you're selling to. Well, we want to make sure that your website knows who your target market is, speaks to your target market, like we said in step 1, and gets in front of your target market. I'm going to read here a little bit. By clearly defining your ideal customer, you can stop spending your marketing dollars liberally and begin using your capital more effectively. An example that I use commonly is you don't want to fish with a net. Nets let certain fish through. Instead, you'd rather fish with a harpoon. And then when you get into multi-channel marketing, you get to fish with many harpoons. So it's much more effective, targeted, and specific way of approaching your sale. And that's what we want to do with your website. So we got an example here for you. So the example we got here is Uncrate. If you're not familiar with this website, it is a featured product blog for men. So it's basically just a giant advertisement. If you've got a really cool product for men to go sell.
It's kind of the ultimate in marketing. It's we're going to build a website that's a giant commercial and lure people in to buy stuff.
Absolutely.
And suckers like us go to these sites, not you guys like us, like me and Jake, and get suckered in basically because they know how to market the stuff efficiently.
Absolutely, and you're going to see through a couple of points here how they're doing that. So this is specifically, though, for men who are maybe looking to explore their options for their personal spend. or just looking to relax and discover some of the cool things targeted at men nowadays. So a couple things that they're doing to appeal to men here. They've got some very creative menu options, like I mentioned with Dorian. Uncrate is also taking a similar approach and is listing their categories in a casual format. So we have shelter, which you could have put as home goods or kitchen appliances, but no, it's shelter. Or vices, they have a lot of adult beverage recommendations and products on their site, and so they cleverly put it as vices.
I like that. It's kind of how we would talk in a casual conversation.
Absolutely.
And I'm squarely in their target market.
You are.
So and that makes sense to me.
Yeah, exactly. Going on from there, you can't see it from the picture here, but their article verbiage for each of the products is written, again, very casually. It's not meant to necessarily inform you entirely. It's not meant to specifically sell you on the great points about it. It's more of a topic of this is really cool or reasons why we like this. And it's just there to draw you in and increase your experience with the products. They also have great iconography and fonts for men. You'll notice with their logo that it's very bold. It's very easy to read. It's white on black, but it's lowercase. It's not aggressive. It's got a nice little serif, so it gives an element of style and class.
Did you say it has a little serif?
Yeah.
Is that a design nerd thing? Because I have no idea what that means.
Okay, lesson time. Serif is when your letters have a little bit of flair on the edges. So you'll notice in the Uncrate logo,
okay.
each of the edges of the font kind of whooshes out, whereas on the menu font, there's no whooshes. It's all very squared off.
Hence sans serif.
They would be sans serif fonts.
Sans, is that Latin without? That's
yes.
Spanish, Latin, yeah.
There you go.
All right.
So
lesson over, I guess.
There you go. Our next webinar will be on fonts and you.
I'm pretty sure no one's coming to that one.
I would come to that. I like fonts. But yeah, so it's very appealing to men and it's got some psychology behind it. The imagery. So they want to show you these great, awesome things you can potentially get. And the best way to do that for a men who are relaxing and just browsing, it's window shopping, but digitally. So here's a big old picture of the thing that you could get. So you'll see on the screen, that's it. That's their website. It's a giant picture to get you to want the thing, And then the layout and accessibility. This page can scroll for days. I mean, they have thousands and tens of thousands of things you can scroll through. So if you're really interested and just want to kill 15.5 or a whole hour, you can scroll and scroll and scroll and look at these awesome pictures and tap on them and go learn more and maybe even get to the link to buy it. It's very well laid out.
Great. That's interesting. All right. So guys, homework for you on the other side of the microphone. And again, you want to talk with this with your marketing person, take it to them, have a discussion about it. You want to ask yourself these questions in that discussion. Is your website selling to the right people? Meaning, have you identified who it is and have you optimized your website to sell to those people? Is your website using the same keywords as your target market? Like what in your example, I guess, vice or shelter rings really true to some audiences.
Tech gear, yeah.
Yeah, totally. So that's really good. Is your website written on the same tone and knowledge level as your target market? Again, if you're an example we talk about internally, if you're selling sports cars, you don't want to target your tone and message to someone who's shopping for minivans and vice versa.
Yep. Soccer moms probably aren't buying sports cars too often.
That'd be an interesting market to go for, though.
Yeah.
And finally, does your website look and feel like somewhere your target market would go and spend time? That Uncrate example is a perfect example of something that they're optimizing this. Great. So let's move on to step 3 here. Step 3 is craft your pitch.
All right. Odds are, if you're an entrepreneur, you have a product or service that you deliver to people, and you've tried to get someone to buy it, to pay you for it. And, you've gotten good at talking to people and explaining why they should. That is your pitch. Well, why does your website not do the same thing? a lot of people think that I just need to load my website up with a wall of text. Here's a paragraph after paragraph after paragraph of why you need to get this service. Well, that might be a good strategy if you're selling walls of text, because then it shows.
Who's selling walls of text? If you're selling walls of text, reach out to us. We want to help you.
But it might not be creating the right sales journey for your potential consumer. So let's do an example of what a good sales pitch digitally is going to look like.
Yeah, I think this is interesting to me because I think of a lot of websites I see where they're just informational. It's like, opening a reference book and reading about something, dinosaurs. But really what these websites are doing, that was really random. Why are we opening books of text for dinosaurs?
You have a 5-year-old.
I have a 5-year-old. He's creeping into my brain. But a website is really to get your person to do something, right? So I think this is important and often overlooked. So I interrupted you, Jake. Show us how the pros do it.
Excellent. So we're looking at Dropbox. If you're not familiar with Dropbox, this is a digital storage solution, and what they have two different target markets. They have individuals and they have professionals, but they have a great sales pitch. So this display here that you're seeing is actually one giant page. We've cut it in half because it's just a bit too long to successfully fit in one slide. But what they've done is they've created a sales journey for the person who rises this page. So if you go to Dropbox.com, it's going to give you two options. It says log in, which if you've already bought it, they've got you. You're a sucker. I'm just kidding. It's actually
awesome. It's an awesome
It's
service.
a great product.
Yeah.
But they also have an option that says, do you need storage? Click here. And it sends you to this page. And this page takes you through the sales journey. And they do several different techniques and tactics here that are built to you're probably jumping ahead and looking at my slide on the bottom left that says empower the visitors to sell themselves. And that's really where we're going to get to at the end of this, but let's walk through how they're doing it. So you get to this page, and right away at the very beginning, before you have to scroll, before you have to go anywhere, big bright yellow text on a dark background so it pulls your eyes in, and it says get the space you need and so much more. Who doesn't want all the space you need and so much more?
And really here, if someone doesn't want that, then they're kind of in the wrong spot.
They are definitely in the wrong place. So Dropbox is not only trying to sell you a little bit on what they do, you get space and more, but also they're making sure that you're the right person for where you're at. So that might be enough to sell some people. Some people know what they want, they know what they need, they're looking for it, and they're trying to find the right person for it, and that might have been it. Okay, that's the end of that person's sales journey. Then they'd be clicking on that button, and we're going to call that's a call to action. We're going to talk about that in step 4. But maybe that's not enough. Maybe that's just the tease. Somebody's like, I need to know a bit more. So if you look down to the next section, we're looking at a pricing section. Here's our general pricing packages, couple little points about each one, and a button to get started. Let's buy it now. All right, choose your package. For you. And some people say, oh, well, that's what I needed to know. I needed to know that pricing. And so they'll click the button and get off the sales funnel ride right there. Continuing on down, maybe that wasn't enough. Maybe you have another question, or the person has another question. Well, that's what Dropbox is doing, is they're empowering the visitor to sell themselves by answering their questions preemptively.
Jake, if I can interrupt here, how do you know what questions to answer here?
Well, that is a part of your sales package in general, outside of your website. If you've been selling your product for any amount of time, you probably know some questions that you're going to get asked about your service.
Or maybe your salesperson, I suppose.
Yeah, so if you're a hot dog vendor, okay, and you've got a sign that says hot dogs, okay?
That's logical.
Right. And someone walks up to it, they're probably going to ask you, the first question they're going to ask you is, how much does it cost to get a hot dog? And you're going to have to answer that question if your sign doesn't say it's $2 for a hot dog. And then they're going to go, oh, well, what comes on the hot dog? Okay. Now somebody might just want a hot dog, and the $2 for the hot dog is enough, and they'll buy a hot dog right there. But then someone wants to know what's on it. What kind of bun do you use? Is it gluten-free? And they can go on and on and on. And so you start to develop a feel for what questions need to be answered. And so you enable the consumer to answer those questions for themselves. That's what Dropbox is doing here.
Great. That's really interesting. What's this end with a call to action?
So we're going to get to this in step 4, but we'll call it out here because Dropbox does such a good job of it. In each of these sections, which they've banded off with alternating light and dark sections, they have buttons for you to get off the ride, the sales ride, and do whatever they want you to do next. And that's really probably the most important part of this whole cycle, and we're going to talk about that in a second.
All right, so let's get to it. But first, let's talk about our homework for step 3. Again, take your marketing person out to lunch and discuss some of these things. It'll make a big difference in the focus of your website.
I think we're getting to the point where it's dinner.
It's dinner. Okay, maybe, I know, but all 4 of these, it might be a long dinner. It's going to be a nice dinner. You're going to
take them to a Brazilian steakhouse. You can go as long as you need to.
Jake's been on me to take him to a Brazilian steakhouse.
It's so good.
Oh, jeez. All right, let's do this. So does your website speak the way that you do face-to-face? This kind of turns into that target market stuff a little bit too we just talked about. Does your website proactively answer objections? Does your website use the same language your prospective client may use? And then finally, is it talking to your clients directly?
Yeah, and if I can jump back in here on the use the same language, Dropbox does a fantastic job of this. What they're doing is cloud data storage. Well, their consumers probably aren't calling it cloud data storage. They want space,
That's true.
And so they use that terminology actively in their sales process instead of cloud data storage because that's what their customers use.
That actually makes a lot of sense. And I know being a techie guy myself, I often get caught up in that. And, the struggle is real.
It is.
All right, last and final step here, perfect the close.
All right, so we've alluded to this from step 1, day 1, minute 1 of this discussion here, and this is the most important part. If you get them onto your website and they stay because it looks good and they start going down the sales journey and they get to the end of it, and then you don't ask them to do something, they're going to leave. And you're going to lose a potential sale or a close. Now, I keep using the term sale or close. Let's back up real quick and say this might not be money. It depends on what your product or service is. And we'll use ourselves as a great example here. We can't really always tell you what it's going to cost right up front because in marketing, it's a nuanced program. We want to make sure we custom fit it to you. So what we want you to do is contact us so that we can custom quote your marketing plan. Although if you're like Dropbox, hey, we'll give you 10 gigabytes of storage for $10 a month. So that might be your close. So try to think of what you actually want people to do. That's kind of step 1A of this process. But if you don't ask for the close, without that critical information, even an interested customer may not complete the sale. And that is a problem.
I see that in so many websites that come across our desk that we're helping with. First thing is, let's give this person something to do. Everything on that site should be directing them to giving them something to do.
Absolutely. So many people come to me and go, I'm getting traffic to my website, but nobody's buying anything. Well, this is probably why. Step 3, perfect your pitch or, get your pitch down. But then step 4 is ask for the close.
Yeah, that makes sense. You could have millions of people on your website, but if it's not turning into something, it's not doing much good for you.
Can you imagine if Amazon didn't have an add to cart button?
That's true. Amazon's an interesting example because they made it so easy. It's one click you can purchase, and they made that sales journey so simple.
They destroy me with the swipe to buy.
Yes.
Oh, it's too easy.
It's too easy. So,
now I own a $400 coffee grinder. Congratulations.
Yes, I need that, but it's pretty awesome. So.
It's a good coffee grinder. So we're going to use an example of call to actions here. This is one of our customers, Heart for Heart. They're a small boutique fitness center locally here. And he was getting people to his website, and they weren't closing. So in his original website, he only had one way that you could close the deal, and that was this kind of phone number in the upper corner, and he wanted to just talk to you and get it on his personal calendar because he was using Google Calendars, which is, if you're doing that for business, that's fine. Keep it up. Just make sure you're using it effectively. But he didn't really give them the way that they needed to close all the time.
And I think that's an interesting point. I know as a business owner myself, often I'm like, just have them call me because I've got confidence in myself that I'm going to make a connection with that person and we're going to hit it off, and I can ultimately take that and make it a lead. But that's not how people want to interact with companies anymore.
Right. And what if they're a mute?
That's true too. I mean, there's lots of different reasons.
Yeah. So, but anyways, so we said, what do you want your website to do? So we isolated his call to action, and he said, I want them to schedule a session. Now he gives away his first session for free. But we wanted to also give people the opportunity to just buy in and start working out with Kyle right away. So what we did, we threw call to actions everywhere, but not indiscriminately. We have his phone number still at the top. So if you are a person who wants to call and talk to Kyle and figure him out, you can do that. You can call him up, and I know that that's his cell number, and it'll ring right away, and he always picks up his phone. But maybe you don't want to talk to him. Maybe you want to just get it on your calendar and just roll in there and do your first workout. So right at the beginning of the site, above the fold, we have a get your first session free button, which takes you to a calendar, and you can schedule it with Kyle and get over to his gym and start working out.
Jake, you said something interesting. You said above the fold. I know what that means, but I'm not sure everybody knows what that means.
So above the fold is a term we use in websites, which is the part of your website that loads when they first open the page. So if I never had a scroll wheel on my mouse, which I just literally imagined life without a scroll wheel on my mouse, and that was awful.
Do you remember when the old Apple mouses, the old Apple Mies, they didn't even have a button, let alone a scroll wheel? I remember those, and they were perfectly circular, so you didn't know which way was up and down.
Oh man,
it's always comforting to know that Apple has some missteps too. Sometimes.
Yeah, no, I was never suckered by Apple.
You're too young for that. Those were my college days back in the late 90s.
Young. I remember on my Apple II, the game was how long will it take to count to a number by a certain interval. That's the game I used to play.
All right, let's get back to it.
Okay, so after being thoroughly distracted, so we get them above the fold to go take their free session, takes them to a calendar, and they can schedule it right away. So if that's not really what you want to do, maybe you want to just get started. So we have a pricing page, and on the pricing page, you can click that, pay, and get going with Kyle as a full-time customer right away. In addition, we put that free session because we know that's the biggest thing we want to happen on Kyle's website, right in his top menu bar. So on every single page, you can get to that free session scheduler right away. So it's been very good to allow the customer to have the closing experience that they desire. If they want to talk, if they want to just schedule it, if they want to pay now, they can do whatever it is that they want to do there.
That's really interesting. Thanks, Jake. All right, let's talk about homework for this one. This is the last one. And again, now we might be on to dessert with your marketing expert at the Brazilian Steakhouse. Is your website asking for the sale at all? If not, fix that immediately. Is it telling your informed customer what to do next? We got a typo though, telling you informed customer, telling your informed customer what to do next. Is it making the sales intake process easy on them? Are they working with you, contacting with you, engaging with you in the way they want to? As a business owner, I want people just to call me, but I know people don't necessarily want to do that. Is your website maintaining the brand experience during the sale? Throw back to step one there. And then is it crafting positive customer expectations? Great, so Jake, those are our 4 steps. Why don't you put them all together for us and tell us a real life story about how we helped a customer.
Excellent. So on your screen, you'll see Seasonal Landscape Solutions. This is a customer of ours. And the website you're seeing now is his original website when we first got together.
It looks like a decent website to me.
Absolutely. Yeah. From, just visually, it's not awful.
Yeah.
but there were several key missteps in the marketing journey that were impacting his bottom line here. So the website, a couple notes about it, had endless image pages. Just you go to the gallery and you could just scroll, and none of the pictures had any titles on them. You didn't know what you were looking at. You didn't know if you went and Googled them or if they were his. It just was a big old gallery. He also was utilizing more of a stumble upon method. There was no real SEO strategy, no strategy to get him in front of potential customers, his target market.
Wait, hold on. You said SEO. We haven't talked about SEO. What's SEO?
So SEO is search engine optimization, and that's the process of building your website so that Google can rank it for searches.
Okay. Hey, we offer that as a service.
We do.
All right, go ahead.
So he also had this kind of big phone number in the upper right corner. Andy is the owner of Seasonal Landscape, and he just wanted people to call him. Like that, he didn't want to use anything else.
Makes sense to me.
Absolutely. He was doing a blog a quarter, which is a pretty slow turn for new content. And his intake form on his contact page was one size fits all. It didn't do anything unique based off of the customer who was experiencing it, or give them any real options. It was just, let's talk. And finally, he was doing some physical local ads that were pretty wide net fishing, like we referred to earlier.
So we're talking about more than just his website here.
Absolutely. Your website is your digital entity. It's who you are standing in the digital world. So there are things in the real world, in the physical world, that impact other people's experience with your website. For example, if I have a business card and I put my website address on there, you might go to it. And that is the person I'm relying on to close the sale for me.
So you're kind of saying that everything in your website, you have to look at everything in your organization in order to build a strategy around that, because your website impacts all of it.
If your website is your primary salesperson or your most active salesperson because it doesn't sleep, you need to be able to rely on it no matter how people get to it.
Okay, interesting.
So, and Andy, Seasonal Landscape was spending about $8,500 a month in their marketing budget, and they got about 15 leads in 7 years.
That doesn't sound very good.
It's not.
All right, so what do we do for him, Jake?
Took him through the process. Step 1, we made his brand more consistent. Now you'll notice on his website here, we kind of touched it up. We made his logo more consistent. We got a whole new set of fonts, images, colors, restructured it so that all the image presentations were the same. And this also expands outside of his website. We did his business cards, his brochures, everything is now all one experience. Then we started putting his content in his target market. We did a strategy of SEO, search engine optimization, paid ads, and we kept some local ads, but we decided to be a little bit more targeted with it in the areas that we delivered it and the messaging from it. Then on his website, we went with a concise and consistent sales message. Basically, we decided that the thing that sells his product is previous versions of his product. We put a lot of pictures. We explained what you were looking at. We explained the details of what went into each one, and basically let the customers go on the sales journey where they could explore through as many different previous projects that Andy and Seasonal Landscape had done up to that point.
Makes sense. I mean, it sells itself. He's got some beautiful work.
Yes, absolutely. And finally, we made sure to ask for the sale. We put call to actions on each page. We personalized it for the experience that the person was on the page. So if you're looking to do a custom pool, on the pool page, it asks you about details about your pool. We also have some landing pages based off of people coming in from different areas of the internet that tailor the intake experience for them.
Great. So did it work?
Well, we ended up reducing his monthly spend from $8,500 to $3,500 a month. And after 4 months, we generate about 8 to 12 leads a week.
So, whoa, 4 months, that's pretty quick. Is that typical?
It can be. It can be. With our blended strategy of both paid ads and SEO, they fuel each other and kind of accelerate your standard process. Um, it's definitely an aggressive strategy.
Okay, but it's much cheaper than what he was paying.
Absolutely.
Wow.
And so after just 4 months, they're projecting a $2 million increase in business this year.
That's pretty good. That's for his, what size business was he to start with?
$2 million a year.
Wow, so we helped double his revenue in a 4-month marketing campaign.
At a lower cost than he was previously paying, because we did our 4 steps. We started fishing with harpoons instead of nets.
Wow, very interesting. All right, so Jake, thanks so much for spending the time with us. So you got kind of a wrap up, what's the absolute go do this right now?
Absolutely. I've got 3 things that if you go do these things, you will see impact. And they're not necessarily all on your website. We're going to get through these in just a second. But the first thing to do is update your sales language. You know your sales pitch. Does your website? Go back to Dropbox, look how they structured it. They preemptively, answer the questions, but they cut it into bite-sized chunks so that nobody spent too long. Get them to the decision-making step as quickly as possible. And remember to speak like your customer. Remember, they use the word space, not cloud data storage or whatever extraneous, terms that they could use.
Nerd speak.
Nerd speak, sure. Or if you're really close to your industry, sometimes you start to speak because you know the terminology. And so if you sell humdingers, but everybody else calls them flimflams, make sure to call them flimflams on your website from time to time, because they're going to need to find it that way.
Keep that in mind. We got a big humdinger project coming in, I hear. Jeff's been working hard on it.
Yeah. And then give them the information they need to sell themselves. Don't trap them at a point where they go, I don't know what to do. If there's a point where you think someone might hit that, offer them the opportunity to speak with you. Offer them the opportunity to learn more and get in touch and explore. Don't ever let them get lost in the sales journey. Second thing is do some basic search engine optimization. So I know we alluded to this, and I said it's kind of a grandiose thing of convincing Google to show your website, but there's a couple of very simple things that you can do to impact your search engine optimization. First of all, use the words your target market would use to find you. Like I said, if you sell humdingers and people call them flimflams, use the flimflams on your website. Google will begin to make that association and then start showing you for the right kinds of searches. An example that we have personally is we do custom software. Well, some people call them custom applications now because of Apple's insistence on calling things applications.
Or just
apps. And so what we do is we make sure on our website to call them applications from time to time. And Google has begun to understand that and show us for both.
Is it really that easy?
It's really that easy.
Wow.
And then create content that engages and informs the customer and help them find it. So like I said, let's say that you run a bar and you sell drinks and you want to inform some people of some awesome summer cocktails. That's not necessarily sales content. You're not trying to tell people to buy something from you, but by giving them an opportunity to learn, you draw them into your site. Now, this is called content marketing if you ever want to look more into it. But you give them things that they can inform themselves on, and you slowly become an expert, and they associate that in your mind, and that improves your brand perception.
That makes total sense to me. And I think what really resonates is the fact that you don't want to have your sales pitch tuned up at all times and drawing people in by trying to sell something. So let's just be a valuable resource for them and then catch them in that trap later on. So am I reading that right?
Absolutely. If you're a salesperson, you go to networking events constantly, and you're not just sitting there at the networking event saying, hello, please buy my thing. You're not a sales robot.
I've met those guys. It doesn't work.
It's not fun.
No.
I'm not here to just talk about, I mean, we'll talk a little bit about business, but tell me that story about the time you wore a World Series ring.
I've got a great plantain story.
Oh gosh. No one wants to know about your fake bananas. Okay. Finally, the last thing you can do that will make an impact today is go update your online listings. There are so many listing sites. Google, Yelp, Bing has a listing, Yahoo has listings, TripAdvisor, Facebook. There are tons of listing sites out there. Google and Bing are checking those. They want to make sure that your information is consistent and available everywhere. And so if you go and update your business listings across these sites, you're actually going to become a more reliable source to Google, and they'll present you more to potential customers. And you'll see my quote here in the bottom. I do like to include this. When it comes to marketing, and
when it comes to life.
When it comes to life, but marketing is life. Let's be real.
I don't know about that.
The only action that has no impact is inaction. Back to the earlier slides, 50% of businesses don't have websites. And I'm the kind of person, if I'm doing a search for something, I need, someone to come trim my trees. If I search for you and you pop up, but you don't have a link to your website, guess what? Sayonara, I'm scrolling to the next guy. Even if you have like 50 reviews. If the fact that you don't have a website makes you unreliable to me. Now, that's not every single consumer.
It rings true with me, though. If I can't check you out beforehand, like the very first stat I threw out, I'm on to the next guy.
Absolutely. So if nothing else, by being active, by making a website, by doing a couple of these things, that effort, you're going to see it. You're going to see the impact.
Great. Thanks, Jake. So guys, two more slides here. Just want to wrap this up. The first thing, we do offer a free site scan. If you go to doriansolutions.com and choose free site scan in the upper right-hand corner, it's totally free. All you need to do is punch in your web address, and we will give you a 10 to 20 page report about things you can actively do, specific, concrete things you can do to make your website more searchable by Google and have a bigger impact on your search engine optimization. So go do it. It's free. There's nothing stopping you, and it literally writes down the steps. Go do this, go do this, go do this, and you're going to be way up ahead of the game as most people. The second thing is, since you guys are here and we're now forging this relationship with you, we want to give the opportunity to talk with Jake and I directly. If you go to doriansolutions.com/connect, you'll see the link right here at the bottom of the screen. You can go ahead and schedule an appointment with us. In that appointment, we can talk more specifically about your website, things that you might be having challenges with, and how we might be able to potentially help you out. Just by booking that appointment, we're going to give you a 15% off voucher for the entire rest of the year. And we do more than just build websites. We can help you with marketing consultation. We can help you with your print needs. We can even build mobile apps and software applications for you. So that 15% off for an entire year could have an extraordinary value depending on what you'd like to do. And we'd encourage you to take advantage of that offer. Go ahead, book a meeting with us, and let's get to know each other a little better. We want to help. We love helping entrepreneurs, small, medium business size owners. This is what we do, and we're in the business of why we're in the business of what we're doing. Jake, thank you so much for joining us today.
Absolutely. Me and my hair are just tickled pink to be here.
Wait, we're going to go to lunch. I'll tell you my plantain story. All right, guys, have a wonderful rest of your day. And what do we say at the end of these things?
Happy trails.
Happy trails. All right, bye, everyone.